Good morning.
Happy Saturday. Oh my God, we're finally at Saturday. I wait for this day all week. This is my favorite day of the week, actually. Because Saturdays have the best party days.
They are the best party days if you are 25 to 35.
Because you don't have to go to work tomorrow and you're done.
Really quickly, I just because I'm having some difficulty in hearing you. We had some little bit technical challenges. Welcome to going live from anywhere. Is it possible for you to make a slight adjustment in your sound? Maybe turn it down just a bit, or no?
I can try to turn it down, which I will do. I would say, is that helpful?
A little bit. I mean, it might just be my feed, but oh my goodness, what a week. We are in the middle of what is supposed to be a winter wonderland for the Northeast.
Yes, we are. I will say I am on the Northeast and there's no snow outside, so I'm thankful for that.
Well, welcome everybody to She Blaze. I am Dasheeda Dawson, the WeedHead, and she is the Cannabis Socialite. Yes. I'm excited. So we got a lot piping hot tea. But before we get started, I'm always giving a quick shout out to, of course, my book, How to Succeed in the Cannabis Industry. And folks have been asking and continuing to request where to get the book from. You're going to get that from WeedHead, theweedhead.jarvis.io. And again, the audio book is out, y'all, and I can't get enough of listening, even though I love and hate my voice at the same time.
I mean, who doesn't? No one likes the sound of their voice unless they're talking, really. Your voice always sounds different when it's recorded, I feel like.
I agree.
So, but the audiobook looks amazing. It sounds amazing. I'm just so excited with what we did there. And, I love audiobooks because while you're driving, you could just pop that right in.
Absolutely. I'm definitely very eager to continue to share my workbook workout with folks. That's the weekly live webinar. If you already got the book, you got to sign up for that because that's going to help you with the cliff notes for the book. But enough about that. There's so much going on in the cannabis industry. What do we got up for today?
Oh my God. First of all, you already know our blazing hot topics are one for the book. So we getting stuff hot off the press around here. So as you know, we had a few governors have their state to state. So we're going to talk about it because there was mention of adult use cannabis in a lot of governors state to state on the East Coast. Then we're going to talk about a New York Times bestseller. He has a book out that basically is fake news, fake facts, not real science, telling people to tell your children the truth about marijuana, mental illness, and violence. So we got to go and dispel all that propaganda. And then, just so you know, Mike Tyson has coined the Cannabis Coachella coming up at the end of February. So, we wanted to give you guys all of the tea on that. And then we're going to talk about the best accessories for 2019 because we got to hook our ladies up.
Accessories, products, and of course, we'll give a little bit of real talk after that, right? And then let people know where we're going to be.
Oh, for sure. Where in the world is the WeedHead? Well, we probably going to be somewhere in the winter wonderland. So
yes, definitely in the next couple of weeks. Oh my goodness. So let's get into the blazing hot topics, okay?
For sure. Okay, so can we talk about where you from again?
I'm in Atlanta.
You're in Atlanta. You're in my hometown. I'm from New York and Atlanta. So I grew up in the ATL, baby, Clayco. But I was talking about where you born. Where were you raised?
Oh, I'm Brooklyn born.
Brooklyn born. And so we got a lot going on in New York City. So Governor Cuomo in his state to state talked about adult use cannabis and how he wants to implement it, how much he thinks we can make in taxes, $300 million, I feel like he was quoting. during his state to state? And what's it going to look like for this next 100 days?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think that has consumed most of New York State, not just New York City, but New York State legislators and advocates. We have literally had our noses in this, hundreds of pages that are covering the cannabis industry. Specifically, the governor addressed not only medical marijuana, but the adult use market. And we talk a little bit, we always talk about why we don't say recreational, but adult use meaning 21 and over, as well as he talked about hemp in this cannabis regulatory piece here. So it's called the CRTA, which is not to be confused with the MRTA. The MRTA is the original bill that was sponsored by Senator Kruger and Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes. And what we've spent a lot of time with the Start Smart Coalition, really helping to push and lobby and ensure has all of the amendments and additional language that we want to see in a smart marijuana legalization bill. So they changed marijuana to cannabis, so I will give a nod to the governor for that at least. But I definitely think that we've got a lot to unravel. And so over the next couple of weeks, I'm very excited because we're going to have guests and bring some folks on so we can talk about what's happening in New York as it's happening. The governor essentially does have right now, what happens right now, it's not law yet. He has 30 days to make some amendments, and we have about that same amount of time to ensure that he understands what exactly the Start Smart Coalition, and we are in that with MJM Strategy, Minorities for Medical Marijuana, WeedHead, what this coalition really wants to see. And it's led by Drug Policy Alliance. So shout out to Cassandra and Melissa for leading amazing kind of thoughts around what we need to do and what our next steps are. It wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be, though. So he does address almost like a curtain. He kind of, covers a little bit of nothing with some things we want to see. But when you peel back the curtain at the core of it, you do see a primarily I would say biased law that is really going to help the current medical marijuana license holders in New York, including men, going to help them transition into more monopolies. And so that then becomes a conversation, and I know we want to talk about it, about this whole vertical integration and,
Oh my God, girl. The tea is that, the Curaleaf CEO actually was quoted this past week at a conference saying, it pays to be vertical. He likes the vertical market, but Curaleaf is in multiple states, multiple adult use medical states. So it's just like, I don't know if it's really fair to be in a vertical market. You know what I'm saying? I guess it does pay because you have to pay a lot. I don't know. I feel like the vertical market can keep out the everyday people, the middle class, the lower class, reaching. So I think it's a little bit difficult to say the least.
I agree, and but it's complicated. So as a business strategist, I have to look at it also about what's going to do well for the market. And believe it or not, there is no industry that we buy from that doesn't have vertical integration. And we're happy as consumers that it does. And let me explain why. Well, with vertical integration comes a cost savings in the supply chain. The supply chain is how you get it from a manufacturer to a consumer. And every time you have to pay a new business to take it through your supply chain, the cost does go up. And it gets baked into a price that the consumer generally sees. When you have vertical integration, that allows us to see the savings through the supply chain. And historically, that's what we've seen in big markets that have grown very fast. So there's a part of me that says from market dynamics, just purely econ 101, and the MBA and me, I can't shout out the Rutgers. I can't pretend I don't have it. It is something that we have to consider. How do we get the market jump started quickly? Because we have to remember there is an illicit cannabis market that still exists. California and New York have one of the strongest illicit markets. We've seen the mistakes from California in the way they've written law, in the way it is translated to how business is done. But at the same time, you can't assume just because you grandfather in 5 or 10 vertical licenses of businesses that are already not doing that well in the market, let's be real, that it's going to solve for that cost. Because demand is still what's going to drive trial initially. And so you want to have product options. And so I agree with integration, and 100%, like how it was in Arizona or Minnesota, it's not a good look. The markets don't really thrive there either. As with everything, it's about a hybrid, and it's about a strategic hybrid at that. You want to make sure that your market is prepared to help offset what's already available. And in New York, millions of New Yorkers are already getting direct to consumer cannabis on a daily basis. We don't want to talk about it because it's illicit, but it still has its own economic value, and it does help contribute to demand. And at the end of the day, if we don't have that demand shift from the illicit market to the legal market, guess what? You don't make $300 million in revenue, Governor Cuomo, okay?
No, you don't. I mean, yes, people just automatically, if your adult use is not set up right, then people automatically go underground again. You know, they go to the underground market. So, you know, I do think there has to be a happy medium. But again, I think that our government is just built on big business. Everything is capitalism. Everything is free market. And so, you know, small businesses, they don't always stand a chance against big business. So that's always my concern. So hopefully we could have a happy medium, something, agree to disagree, meet in the middle. But I just thought it was really crazy that, you know, he just blatantly said that. And, you know, I would be more willing to accept a vertical market if they actually put back into the communities, right? They get... But hello, they get these vertical markets and then, you know, they make these multi-millions, multi-billions, but what community did you help out other than your own?
Exactly. So that's how I see it. It's like, you want to be in a vertical market, you have enough capital to be able to do so. You making significant diversity plans within the structure of your organization that helps drive equity and employment within your organization. And you are reinvesting, there is restitution, whatever you want to think of is going back into the right? You know, it's going back into the... So I'm with you 110%. I have ideas and strategies, and I'm so excited to be able to work in New York, to be able to push those ideas and strategies, because I think we in New York are going to be able to set the precedent. California has been a great benchmark for the most part, in that it does have a lot of major cities that require direct to consumer. It has varying degrees of, like, when you go from one county to the next, it's very different, and it has a major tourist population. So we can learn a lot from there, more so than in Oregon, right? Or more so than even Colorado. Right? But let's learn for real, and understand what is the dirty secret that's happening in California, which is not so dirty, is that the weed ain't really that free. For real, and a good majority of the sales are still happening in the underground market. But I'll save that tea for another day.
I know that tea is hot, but you know, I had got this straight off the press, so you know we had to talk about it so we could blaze up the streets and let everybody know they ain't gonna sneak up on us in 2019. We already knew. New Jersey also, you know, last year we were looking at New Jersey heavy. We knew they were going to do adult use. They were pushing it. It didn't quite happen like that. But the governor, Phil Murphy, he still wants adult use, you know, cannabis in New Jersey. And he spoke about it on his state to state as well.
Yes, he should. I think we have a little bit of an eye watch to see how the new medical license holders will roll out, how that will impact. But yeah, the number of patients have certainly, I think now almost tripled in New Jersey as far as the medical marijuana opportunities. And that's the one thing I will say about the New York bill that the governor did put out. It puts it's still like you almost got to be dying to have a medical marijuana card issued to you. And then it adds all these additional stipulations. And then there are some real restrictions on like the amounts, like a gram. Newsflash is not a lot of flour. And so right?
A gram.
I mean, I'm just, So yeah, I think if nothing else, what it is pointing me to is that there are parts of New Jersey's bill that we did include an MRTA, but we want to make sure that Governor Cuomo is looking, because again, demand is what's going to drive the success here. And if I can go to Hoboken and get a better deal, get better flour, or get another option in terms of assortment, guess what? The same way I would go to the Newtown Mall over Kings Plaza, I'm going to head over the bridge or through the tunnel.
For sure. For sure. No, I completely agree. So right now we're in a head-to-head competition. So keep your eyes on New York and New Jersey, because they are in a competition to legalize adult use. So we will see who wins.
Yes.
Yes. So can we just, let's talk about some ugly stuff real quick, okay? So the New York Times bestseller author Alex Benson, tell your children the truth about marijuana, mental illness, and violence.
Yeah, I almost hate saying his name because I feel
like Voldemort. No, I'm just kidding.
We could beep it out.
I know, right? Just blunt our faces. Well, I mean, I just feel like the Rolling Stones have covered it. There's a few different outlets that have covered it. And because, he's a previous New York Times bestseller, he has a lot of eyeballs on him. But last time I checked, this dude ain't no scientist. He didn't do no research.
Right.
So I feel like this negativity that is in the air, we're going to have to dispel this.
Absolutely. I mean, I read the, little introduction and about the book, and it was laughable. At the end of the day, there's no real science behind it. You know how I am about that real science versus bro science. And I think that it's really hard for me to take serious people who have already got a platform, right? So, he's a New York Times contributor writer. And so, of course, he's getting a lot of smoke, if you will. But it's really a really smoke and mirrors, because he's not giving real information. And that's why having a book and having other things that include the science in it so important. Teaching people how to get into the industry and showing them first about the real science so important, because our country is actually pretty unhealthy in general, and a lot of the things that cannabinoids do help it will help the country. Other countries, other places have figured it out. And there's a lot of suffering going on in our country through some of the things that's happening with how we treat cancer, what the options are for cancer. And again, other countries, Israel, Canada, they're utilizing cannabis in a different way. And so we need to get with the program if we're trying to heal people, save people's lives, improve lives. This BS that he wrote, I mean, I would love to debate him anytime, any place. Please bring it. Please.
Okay, bring it on. He don't want it. Listen, once you hit him with the real talk, real facts, real science facts, he wouldn't even know what to do. He probably doesn't even know what an endocannabinoid system is. So
I'm guessing. He was talking about mental illness. It's a crazy thing, but yes, let us move on, please. No,
for sure. No. He definitely needs to go fact check. But I just wanted to bring, this to a head, because at the end of the day, these are the type of things that we as cannabis advocates, even in the cannabis industry, we have to dispel these myths all the time. And so, I'm all about just, send that propaganda back to the 70s, boo. We don't need it. Hello. So let's get into some more blazing topics with Mike Tyson's. He's having his own festival on the Tyson Ranch in California, February 23rd, 2019. It's called Kind Music Festival. It's coined as Cannabis Coachella, though. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So hopefully, is it warm? It's like close to Los Angeles. Hopefully, it'll be warm during February 23rd. That's always my biggest concern, because at the end of the day, we camping. We glamping because, I'm a glamorous girl. But are we glamping in the cold, or are we glamping in the heat?
It ain't heat, girl. Like, no, I'm just being real. Right. It's definitely not. I've been to Coachella. It's not Coachella time frame, so It is what it is. It's just before what we consider to be in the fashion and beauty world. The festival period is literally just the beginning of it. So you can't even really be with your shears and your bohos, but white still applies. All of the fun stuff that we love for the festival period. I don't know. I think it's a good look. I feel like, again, the more celebrities, even though I'm not in love with the fact that it's maybe Mike Tyson and it's not like a celebrity like Michelle Obama, right? You know, things. Eventually, though, I think we will get there. But most celebrities are bringing a positive PR to cannabis. And that, to me, is always going to warm my heart. And in that way, I'm going to support it. You know, it doesn't sound like it's a cannabis specific event, but they are trying to capitalize on the fact that it is legal. We still have to always worry about mixing cannabis with alcohol, because at the end of the day, we know alcohol is bad for you, and we know that those are the places that people tend to abuse it, and we don't want to take any of that bad rap for the cannabis rap. So I'm always like, but yeah, I think it'll be refreshing to see some of the pictures and see what's going on. And I appreciate Mike Tyson for adding something positive and not something negative to the industry.
Yeah, no, well, cannabis will not be sold, but with the new cannabis laws, obviously people can consume on that private property. Alcohol will be sold there. So you do have the ability to mix cannabis and alcohol. Some people it's good, some people it's not. You gotta just check your endocannabinoid system. Definitely take an Advil, Tylenol, whatever for hangovers. But
there's a 20-year-old, 25-year-old advice. I love it.
Listen, I'm a party girl. You know, I'm a party girl and a party girl. Hey.
So if I got a joint, I'm Gucci. I do not need any more. I would not do alcohol. So I love that you gave that advice for the young folks really on the turn up. You trying to get lit.
Right. You gotta you gotta take it before, and then you gotta keep hydrated. The secret to partying is staying hydrated with water and eating some bread, even though, you know, I be watching my calorie count, you know, I'm trying to hit the keto on them, but I will eat some bread if I'm a little too wavy.
Yes, and keep CBD around. So I love
yes.
on board, and not because CBD automatically will make the high go. And I don't want to get too geeky science on it because that's not how it works. But what it does, it helps to balance out your endocannabinoid system. So whatever you may be feeling on the THC side, there is a little bit more balance in this placement of it. But yeah.
For sure. So I just want to touch on the musical guest, just if you're interested. I love Miguel, so he will be the headliner. Then we have someone called Starcrawler, have no idea who they are. And then Yoni, also don't have any idea who they are, but Miguel is a good look.
Okay.
So, if you are in the California area for an event, go to Kind Music Festival. You can consume freely and listen to some blazing dope music. So let's just keep blazing trails and talk about some hot new cannabis accessories in 2019, can we?
Okay, yeah, so you know it's one of my favorites. What do I have? What do you have?
Okay, well, we got a little package. We got the Smoke Her. So we'll put it in the chat. Smoke Her Society. With the Smoke Her Society, they gave us this is called a pocket pouch ashtray. I love it. It's cute. It says Smoke Her Society, and it's a pocket pouch, and it's an ashtray. It's pretty smell proof, and you definitely need this if you're a smoker on the go. Okay, it's small enough to fit in your clutch, and so for me, it's really important because I was going to a party. Let me tell you, I was going to a party, and we were about to go into the club, and it was really a concert party. Put the blunt out. And I put it in my pocket, or I thought I put the blunt out, and in line, I just start screaming and jumping crazy everywhere. And I'm like, something's burning me. I look down, the blunt has fallen out of my pocket and burnt a hole from my jacket to my dress and into my underwear and was burning a hole to my skin, you guys, because I did not properly put it out. And I guess there was no oxygen getting to the blunt, so it was still, lit, and it burnt the crap out of me. So you definitely need a pocket pouch ashtray, okay? Because it is not cute burning the inside of your purse or your skin, trying to smoke a blunt and put it out.
Yeah, girl. Wow. If nothing else, what you were reminding me is why I don't smoke blunts or paper anymore. I'm just a pipe and straight to the flower and preferably a vape because, but we already know that so many people do. So that's not a lifestyle that's going away. I'm not even dissing it at all. I think that's dope. Can you show us one more time what it looks like?
Yes. So this is a pocket pouch ashtray. It has a little clip on the back. You can open it. It's pretty smell proof too. And it has like aluminum on the inside.
I love it. That's cute.
Yes. And it's small enough to fit in your clutch. That's always a good look. We also have the I Smoke and Then I Slay shirt. It's really
Yes.
Yes, so we're all about the smoking teas, obviously. We have a few more smoking teas coming up. I think it's important. These are cute ways to tell people, hey, we consume cannabis and don't have to be covered in pot either. I love it.
Yes.
And not that I'm wrong with pot leaves, but I'm a fashionista. I gotta have multiple ways to show you I consume.
I absolutely agree with you there. I do too. I like that song about shirts. Shout out to you for wearing our shirt today. Appreciate it. The WeedHead in the house.
Yes.
Those are on our marketplace, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, so grab your WeedHead tea. It's on our marketplace at theweedhead.com/shop. And you'll see our teas. We got, what do we have? We have teas. We have, of course, How to Succeed in the Green Rush. We have our Dank Fung executive pen.
Yes. I love that pen. I mean, I think one of the things is I got to have good hash for smoking. I am bougie. So I will say shout out to the Dank Duchess. I only like to smoke Dank Duchess hash in my Dank Fung executive pen. Okay.
Hello. Well, I love me the Dank Duchess. She is one of the world-renowned hash makers, and she's an African-American woman that's a cultivator. So right there is a niche you do not see often. So shout out to her. Love you.
Yes, girl.
I have Mary Medicinals transdermal patches. Now they changed their packaging a little, but whenever I go to a state that has them like Colorado or Oregon, I get millions of these because this is my life so much. I'm always running around, so I can't always stop to smoke my pipe or my joint or anything. So I'm usually just hitting a vape or trying to do an edible or a tincture. But the transdermal patches, these joints are the truth. Okay,
yeah, I love
it. In half because I use really only sativas because I'm more of an upper, and it makes me on point. I forget that I even have it on, and I'm just like feeling great all day, working at a great pace. And I'm like, dang, why am I working so well? I haven't smoked a joint all day. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I got on my transdermal patches. So for all you non-smokers, all you people that don't really care to ingest, try the transdermal patches.
I agree. Shout out to Mary's Medicinals. They had a couple on the market, but those are my favorite right now in terms of just their usage, the length of time. You like the sativa. I tried that, and girl, I felt like
you was crazy. I was like, you was crazy. You was a ninja for real.
I am older, a little bit more achy in my joints, so I love the 1-to-1 THC CBD, and it just really gives me, especially as we are trekking around some of the major cities, it just gives me a relaxation and a calm and anti-inflammation while I'm moving around in either my sneakers or my heels, but it doesn't matter. I literally have a click in my knee that does not go away unless I have the right CBD. So I add that into the mix. But yes, they have so many different kinds. You can get other cannabinoids, not just the typical ones we hear about, THC and CBD. Speaking of which, CBD since the Farm Bill, I am in Atlanta, and like I guess said last week, I saw one of the largest CBD assortments I've ever seen in a while. I was on WAOK earlier this week with
shout out,
Nicole Buffon, Reverend Slaughter, as well as Tangi of Jane Green. And
I love you, Tangi.
Hi, girl. She gave me a new CBD oil or tincture to try. I would say this is definitely the biggest new, and I wouldn't say accessory, but it is one of those things that feels like an accessory to the flower. But you shouldn't just be thinking that you can only smoke or as a joint. There's a lot that's happening, and my concern, of course, is that we want branding to be right, we want efficacy to be right. But this is Cannabis Show. It's an organic, unflavored CBD oil. This is the big hot stuff. I literally have a new one every week that somebody is giving me and telling me that I need to try. Try this CBD tincture. Try this CBD oil. Again, here's some advice that I always will give, or maybe I should keep it for my little real talk, but I always got to give the real talk.
Listen, it's hard when you real all the time.
Exactly. You want to make sure the dropper is an experience that maybe the consumer only has to take one dropper. Most of what I've been seeing, especially ones with the dropper, they're like, take 5, take 20. It's like not 20 drops, but take 20 dropper fills to get a reasonable dosage. That's a problem. First of all, unflavored is not that great. Second of all, right? Can you imagine? Like, no. Second of all, it's tedious. The reality is that this is almost like taking a vitamin type of tincture, and you want to keep it as effective as well as convenient as possible. And so that's the biggest advice I have. Other than that, girl, you know I'm always with my pen, right? I'm always my packs.
I feel you.
It is. I mean, we're the genius that came up with this. Or was that James?
We are the genius that came up with it, even though we do look like we have similar stickers. But to be fair, everyone on the team, every sister, every Dawson, you see with a pack pen. So we're like, okay, we just got to put a sticker at the bottom. It only comes in black. Like, she's like, that's my packs. No, that's my packs. No.
Yeah, that's how fights break out in the city.
Seriously, we do not play about our dates.
We're like, where's my dad?
I'm looking at the pods like, wait, I have strawberry cough.
Oh, true. I mean, okay, right now I have Tangi in mine. It's my morning, and I love it. But I always keep a little bit of an assortment. So I also have a Durban Poison. This is what I'm writing strategy on, and literally all around getting my life, just in general, in my brain. I love Maui Wowie. That's like if we've decided we're going to wind down and we've finished work and now we're going into work. That's a little bit of play. Allows me to be friendly, a little wowie. I love it. But still sativa and my brain's still working. Jack Herrera is another sativa that I just love. I will use Jack Herrera and Durban Poison interchangeably in terms of what I'm doing, but Tangi is just my go-to, right? Like our homegirl Tangi, but yeah, that's my go-to, Tangi.
Right.
It keeps me very much light and focused, but at the same time, the terpenes that has in it actually helps with inflammation naturally. So it's a good combo of all of the things that cannabis is for me. So that's me with my Pax pen. Pax is a serious play here because they obviously make the Juul pen as well, and so they know about vape technology. So I give them props for that.
It's Juul pod, but I'm a Juul head, so you gotta come. You already know I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I switched between cannabis and vaping. It has gotten me off the tobacco, so I'm good on that. Pax Era. Yeah. You're like, you smell so much better. I smell your. But Pax Era, I love them. It's quick, it's easy. Yes, it has a fruity scent depending on which one you use, but it's hard to detect, and it's that quick hit right before I go in somewhere and have to show it off. So I love Pax Era, but can we talk about the most blazing cannabis accessory that's out for 2019? Okay.
What is that?
Oh, let me pull on my couch, my little, the little clown couch. But how to succeed in the green rush.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I'm excited. Every time I see it, I get excited. We just got the footage back from our Times Square, and like I showed Auntie, and I was just showing family, and I just looked at it again. I was like, I can't believe that really is us, and that happened. But it is. This, I agree, this is the best accessory, because if you're going to try to get into the industry, you're going to need to know where to start. Most people, at least when I started, tried to act like it was a secret society. It's not that deep. It's actually science. And so what I did was, working with Jarvis, come up with a framework. And it's, this is the start of it. The book, at the very least, is like the minimum that you can do. And the ebook is something that starts at $12.99. Like, I don't know. I spent so much on a rent. Your jewel pods are more expensive than my book. To be honest. Remember just walking around. Yeah. So this is a new hot accessory. And it's just, again, it's going to help more people, more entrepreneurs, more professionals, more contractors figure out how they are going to make a space for themselves in the industry. And it doesn't have anything to do with touching the plant. All the things that we're going to do to make this industry great is really all the ancillary stuff. It's the picks and shovel. So let me just stop, because you know me, I could go on.
You geek out real hard. At the end of the day, How to Succeed in the Green Rush is one of the best cannabis accessories, because it's still the wild, wild west on the other side that we're getting our benchmarks from. And some of these states on the east, the south, and the Midwest don't even know where to start on how to implement, how to even start a bill on cannabis. So it's exciting that you gave us the Cliff Notes, blueprints. I love me how to something for dummies. I do, how to speak Spanish for dummies, how to do branding for dummies. I'm all about my Cliff Notes, quick, easy, dummies, like, here's what you need, and then you write it down. I'm all about that. And so I love this accessory, and of course, that's my beautiful face, and I'm a Billboard model now.
Jesus.
Yes, I love it. And
we can't say that no more.
Listen, we got a whole bunch of stuff in store for you guys. You just gotta keep watching.
You do. I mean, to be honest, I am very excited about what's happening this upcoming week. I am going to be giving real talk, real strategy across the state of New York. Again, working with DPA, Start Smart. We have a big month ahead of us. And if you want to be involved in the industry and you are in New York, you need to get started now. Don't try to say, oh, we're going to wait till it's actually legal. The people who are part of participating in making the law happen are the people who are first at the table we create at the industry. And so I just want to encourage everybody to begin to really pay attention. Follow DPA, Drug Policy Alliance.com or .org, sorry. And you want to make sure that you're at least keeping up with what's happening. We have our first lobby day, February 12th. And, I just will say that over the next couple weeks, it's going to be very, very, very busy. Next week, we're headed to Albany and then Buffalo. But where are we in February?
Listen, where in the world is the WeedHead and friends? Well, we everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. So in February, we are in Jamaica, New York, the day before your birthday, the 2nd. Shout out to the fabulous 40. Then we will be at the New York State annual Legislative Conference in Albany from 15th to the 17th. Then we have Accelerate Cannabis on Newark, New Jersey, February 19th. And then we have the Black Church Conversation about cannabis in Brooklyn, New York on the 23rd. So every week we are somewhere new in New York State. Check us, ask us how you can get tickets, you want to join, just let us know. Hit our inbox, hit our DMs, email us at info@mjmstrategy, or you can always follow me, Cannabis Socialite, and I could just point you to the directions.
Absolutely. If you want to know about an event, follow Cannabis Socialite. I'm going to respond to you, but the event will pass. Have already passed. I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, because I'm probably also, just swamped and preparing for it. But definitely follow Cannabis Socialite to figure out all of the places that we are, where in the world is the WeedHead. You can also continue to follow me, theweedhead.com, and then the Cannabis CEO for Instagram and Twitter, as always. Girl, look what time it is.
I know. Oh my goodness. It was so much hot tea. We just had to blaze you guys Saturday real quick, but it's time to go, right?
I think so. This is normally my day off, and I want to make sure I'm getting ready for my nail appointment. It's time for us to get a little bit more WeedHead nails.
I know that's
what
right.
are you doing today? What's going on for your day off?
Oh man, well, it's not my day off. I have to do a lot of stuff, still working. And I'm just basically just cleaning and washing clothes and preparing for next week when we get in our winter wonderland. Because, you know, the white gotta stay nice and fresh. You know, I gotta blend in with the snow. So,
oh my goodness. Yeah, I may need to do some shopping as well. Oh my goodness.
For sure.
I'm glad I got my pack.
Okay, I'll see you guys later. Join us next Saturday, 10 a.m. We'll actually probably be in the same building, so that's going to be even more exciting.
Oh, yes, we'll be together.
Yeah, I haven't seen her since last year. So, seriously. But catch us next Saturday, 10 a.m. See you later.
Right. Bye.
Bye.